What would actually make you on Sunday believe that the process you witnessed on Saturday is credible?
Well, thank you very much, Ladi. I don't want to believe that you're asking about what I will do, because I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any of the two political parties. So whatever results INEC brings out is likely to be acceptable to me. But generally, I know that there are fanatics in this country who will never accept any result. And the political parties have not made it easy, because with claims and counterclaims, accusations and counter-accusations, there is already a divide that some people believe that if you lose, it must be because of this. There are people talking about some people have been trained outside the country to come and jam certain cards, and then there is the argument by the other party that INEC is colluding with the opposition, and that's the reason why they knew that there would be no election. They shared it with the opposition. They didn't share it with the ruling party, and so on and so forth. These claims and counter-claims, accusations and counter-accusations, they all completely derogate from the level of mutual trust that we ought to have. There's so much suspicion. So we can only appeal to our people to let us realize that election is a game. And a game has to have a winner. It has to have a loser. And when there is a winner and the loser is not satisfied, the loser can go on appeal, which is what is practiced in every game. So I think that it's a question of really talking to the political leaders again to tell their followers. I don't know whether the followers are really following when it comes to things like this, because we don't see them following when they sign the peace accord. There's nothing to show that politicians are aware of a peace accord, because the way they talk to each other doesn't show it. So for me, I believe that we may have a lot of people who wouldn't believe the situation on Sunday or Monday, as the case may be, when the results come out. But we can't, because of them, begin to lose hope ourselves, because we believe in the system. I believe that the Electoral Commission, as presently constituted, will do a good job. I'm actually impressed that the chairman of INEC of today is abused by both sides of the divide. And if a man is abused by both sides in a competition, it means he is neutral. It means this person does not like him, this person does not like him. I'm impressed, and I really think that he has stood his ground, and I want to appeal to him to stand his ground to the end. This ground he's standing must be a ground of equity, a ground of peace, and a ground of fairness. If he can do that, then he has tried his best. He should also ensure that he does his promise of briefing the nation daily about the latest, so that even if there are hitches, we will get to know. But one point that I must make before I stop is the issue of voter education, which we started with. You see, in mass communication, there is this theory that in every communication process, there is a sender and there is a receiver. The sender and the receiver must understand the message to mean the same thing. Once the two people have different meanings for the message, then no message has been passed. I'll give a simple example. We get government directives that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on voting day, there shall be no movement. And in fact, the way it is said is that if you come out, you're in trouble. Now, the ordinary voter asks himself, they say there's no movement. So how do I go from my house to the polling station, which is not near me, because of the way the things have been configured? Maybe the man is registered close to his workplace, and his house is from the same town, which is, but the way the message is sent, the participant can sit down and say, look, are you sure they won't start harassing people, because they say no movement? Now, how can there be no movement and yet we say people should go and vote? So that ought to be couched properly. We ought to explain that movement is restricted to voting. That is different from no movement. Movement is restricted to voting. Anybody who is moving should be able to prove that he's going to vote. He should hold his ID card or his voter's card and explain himself, and then he can move on. But if we say no movement, then people would be inclined into giving interpretation to it as it suits them. Somebody who is not too convinced to go and vote before will just sit down and say, look, what am I going to kill myself for? They say no movement, and yet they say I should go and vote. Between my house and 2 streets away, which is not too far, I could be accosted. Then what happens to me? Now, this is an example of how we should speak and let people understand what we are saying, and let the receivers and the senders of messages be on the same page so that the messages will flow.
Thank you very much, Prof.
I was just going to ask, Prof, whether you think we're in a better place today in terms of participation, looking at 2011, 2015, and then this year. Are the voters in a better place? Is the electorate in a better place than we were, years ago?
I imagine so. I think that there has been a lot of awareness. The campaigns have been quite strong. The adverts have been very strong. I want to believe that quite a lot of people are aware, and then we will also expect that this will be cascaded to the people below. That is, if I am conscious of this election, I tell my household, all right, and every other person does that, the message is going. I think that there is a lot of evidence that people know about this election. What this election has shown is that Nigerian politicians do not know how to cooperate. I see a lot of people who started this whole thing, they have all fiddled away. We are now seeing two parties, in which case we didn't really need the galaxy of parties we have that have made our election unwieldy and cumbersome. So there was no need. You see some of them who are withdrawing, they tell you they are withdrawing, and they are asking their voters, their supporters to vote for Mr. X. And the reason is because his own ideas and that of Mr. X are similar. If so, why didn't you merge? Why didn't you integrate from the very beginning? Why must we have a political party in every house? And then at the end of the day, we create tension. So, but the truth is, now that we have two major parties and everybody appears to be following them, I want to believe that there is more awareness, there is more willingness, there is more struggle. And many of the arguments are quite strong. The only problem I have had, as I said earlier, is that they may not have been communicated appropriately to all levels of our population.
We're completely running out of time now. Mr. Oguye, your final words on this issue of voter education ahead of Saturday.
Well, last Saturday there was a miscarriage in the electoral process. It was an abortion. But now that we can see that there is this pregnancy of hope again, we wholly hope that we'll have a successful delivery next Saturday. And for the voters out there, we must understand that in spite of despondency or what it is that is aching us and ailing us, without effective participation in a representative democracy, you cannot effect any change as a citizen. So it's important that you get out to vote.
Thank you very much. And Professor Heredia in Abuja, I'm told that you have 60 seconds to give us your last words.
Well, thank you very much, Ladi and Ijoma. I think that young people have gotten involved in elections this time around, far more than before. To that extent, I think we are going to see a very active event. This not too young to run, and the affirmative action for women and young people has probably brought in a lot of people into the system. And that means that there's going to be full participation from the old, from the young, and everybody that is interested in moving the nation forward. Let's just wish that everything goes well and peacefully.
Thank you very much. It's on that optimistic note that we're going to end tonight's program. And thank our guest, of course, Professor Tony Heredia, former Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, and of course now Executive Director of the Center for Media Advocacy. Thank you for being our guest on The Verdict tonight. Thank you so much from our Abuja studios. And then in Lagos, Mr. Jichi Ogunye, who is of course our Channels Television's election consultant. Thank you for coming in today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Ijoma, time to say goodbye.
Yeah, time to say goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow.
Good night.